Hi, everyone. My name is Omer Awan. I'm the Associate Vice Chair of Education at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and the Associate PD for the Diagnostic Radiology Residency. I want to talk today about the Supplemental ERAS application and provide tips. I think this is something that's new this year. I've gotten a ton of questions from all of my mentees about this. So I thought, why not just make a video and make this extremely transparent to help all of you guys when you guys are doing your applications for ERAS. So very generally, I think that one of the most important things is yes, this is an important thing because this is new. PDs are going to read these, they're going to gain information about you. So it's important to really take heed, take notice, and do this as best as you possibly can. And this is really an opportunity to personalize your application. So provide things that really aren't found elsewhere in your application. So it's not found, this information will not be found in your personal statement, won't be found in your CV listing your volunteer opportunities, your research experiences, your teaching experiences, etc. This is really a way for you to provide whatever you think is important to you and allow it to showcase your strengths so that a PD will be more inclined to offer you an interview. That's how you should look at it. This should actually be looked at as an opportunity for you to shine and for you to showcase some of the great things about you that wouldn't be found anywhere else. And you're drawing attention to your application. So I get tons of complaints about, oh, well, how can I distinguish myself? How can I show them things that aren't on my CV? Well, this is a great opportunity to do that, right? This is a way for you to draw attention to your application. So please take advantage of this and take this seriously. There are many aspects of the supplemental ERAS application. I want to draw attention to three major aspects. And one is the meaningful experiences, where you're allowed to cite 5 meaningful experiences that communicate who you are, what's important to you, and why you're uniquely suited for a position in residency. And the key to this section really is to not regurgitate what's on your CV, right? So you don't want to talk about things that are already clearly stated in your volunteer experience on your CV or clearly stated on your research experience on your CV or your hobbies. We've already read that, right? As PDs, I've already read that. So if you tell me exactly what I've already seen, you've actually wasted my time. And in fact, that may look not favorably in your favor, right? So what you want to do is you want to instead expound upon something that's in your CV and then bring it to light or bring it to life, right? So what I mean by that is the following. You may have said one of your hobbies is dancing, and there may have been a time where you participated in a dance competition and you won that competition. So that may have been a meaningful experience for you. And the way to make that meaningful is talk about things like teamwork, the ability to work with others, the ability to empathize with others, and those characteristics are very important in residency. So if you tie that into how you would be a unique resident by showing that what you did, the organization that you did to make a dance team, win the competition, and how that culminated into you being a team player, that is a meaningful experience, and that will augment your chances in potentially securing a residency spot. And that shows that you're interesting. That shows that you have interest outside of medicine and makes you a well-rounded person. So that's something that you want to consider. Highlighting a focus area or key characteristic and show why you're unique. So there are focus areas and key characteristics like leadership, education, etc. Highlight that when you explain it. I know you only have 300 characters to explain, but that's what you really want to do. So, for example, you may have said in your hobbies or your volunteer experience that you were a tennis coach, right? So the way you can do that is by relaying a story about how you coached or mentored someone younger, and you taught them tennis skills and why that was meaningful to you and how you were an inspiration to that person, and you taught them certain skills that were invaluable that allowed that person to succeed. And that's beautiful, right? Because that's exactly who doesn't want a resident that mentors other people? Who doesn't want a resident that is willing to teach and go above and beyond to lift other people up, right? If you show that to a PD, they'll be like, wow, okay, well, this person has a lot of the skills that we want in our program, right? So that's the way that you're augmenting your supplemental ERAS application. The bottom line is you want to set yourself apart. You really want to set yourself apart. Whatever experience it may be, there may have been experience that didn't make it on your CV, like, you moderated an interfaith religious session. Well, that shows that you're well-rounded, you're diverse, you accept other people's views, you're a leader, you were able to organize a meaningful event where many people contributed to. that's a meaningful experience. And that shows something about you, your character, and your potential leadership abilities when you go into residency. So see how all these things are augmenting your application in a way that may have not been present solely or strictly on your CV or your application. So I think that's the best way to approach the meaningful experience sections. There's also an impactful experience section where you have about 750 characters to talk about some of the challenges or hardships that you had to overcome in your journey to being a resident. And this is, I think, a very key area that a lot of people can benefit from. And I hear this all the time. Like I hear my mentees come to me and tell me about the struggles that they face, losing their mom, their dad, working 3-4 jobs just to meet ends meet to, eventually become a doctor. These are the things that you want to talk about, especially if you didn't include this in your personal statement, right? So this is a key area where you can do this, right? So, of course, not everyone is going to have something to contribute, and we understand that. But I think the vast majority of you guys have something impactful to share. So, really dig down, dig deep. I think all of you guys can have something to share. I know it says that there's no need to clear. You certainly won't be docked if you don't include something here, but I really believe that everyone has something to contribute and to say something about something that was very impactful. This, again, is another incredible opportunity to showcase who you really are that wasn't seen in your CV or your personal statement, right? Loud and clear. So the key to this section is really to focus on those barriers or that obstacles, but then how you overcame them, and more importantly, what you learned. So it's not just enough to say that, oh, I worked 3 or 4 jobs. I was working at McDonald's, Burger King, Home Depot, and then I needed financial, help to get into residency, to get into medical school. But what did you learn from those experiences, right? That's the key, because that's what PDs want to know. They want to know, well, what did you learn that's going to make you an amazing resident in our program? So that's what you want to focus on, right? How did it transform you? Why are you going to be a better resident because of that experience? And the key here is, does it relate to skill sets that you're applying for? So all residency programs want someone that is hardworking, that is diligent, that has motivation, that has initiative, that has drive to help others, right? That's a team player. Show those skill sets in the obstacles that you face and the things that you learned, right? If you communicate that effectively, that's what's going to make an impactful story when you're describing that in the 750 characters that you have, right? And I think one common mistake that a lot of people make in these narrations and even personal statements and even, these type of things is they often tell, right? But you should show and not tell. What I mean by that is that don't say you're hardworking, or don't say that you're a team player. Show me that you're hardworking, and show me you're a team player. Show me by telling me that you worked 3 or 4 jobs, and then you came in, you would often wake up at 4 a.m. to study, meet ends meet, go do certain things. Show me that in your prose and your narration, rather than just telling me that out front. We know we read hundreds of these all the time, right? So we know that by your tone, your mood, and the way you're describing your experiences and being humble about it, and telling us what you learned, you've shown us that all these skills that are necessary to be a successful and competent resident. That's what you want to get across when you're telling us these stories. And if you can do that, you can be extremely successful, and we can see you in a completely different light than what your CV has to offer us. The last thing, or the third thing that I really want to shed some light on is, this signaling, right? So a lot of specialties have signaling. So diagnostic, radiology, and IR you can signal up to 6 people. Even at orthopedic surgery, you can signal up to 30 people. This is an important new development through ERAS and the NRMP. I highly recommend everyone to take advantage of this. Please signal programs, especially the ones that you really want to go to. This is going to optimize your chances to a particular geography or even specific programs, right? Especially if you want them to notice you, right? So there may be programs that, you live in California, but you really want to be in New York for certain reasons. Signal those programs. They may not take you seriously because you're applying from California, right? But if you signal them, it's going to open their eyes to you, right? It's going to definitely open your eyes to you, and they will take you a little bit more seriously. Signal programs that you believe you have a fair shot at matching into, or you really want to be a part of, right? So, if I'm a PD and I'm looking at 2 applicants, they have the same board scores, same school record, they're relatively equal, and one signaled and one didn't, I'm probably gonna offer the person who signaled me an interview, right? Especially if I have limited spaces for interviews. So Signal can be a very powerful tool to make programs aware of who you are. It was done to filter applications and to make things more bearable for PDs who are now getting an exponential rise of applications. This is your chance to really make yourself noticed. So please signal programs when you can. I hear questions all the time from people. When in doubt, I think you should signal. I have a separate video that details all my views on Signal, so you can take a look at that. But I think if you're doubting whether it's a Signal program and you can and you have space, you should absolutely signal that program. So those are my tips for the supplemental ERAS application. Please, if you have any questions, post them below. I'd be happy to answer some of them. I think all of you guys are going to do great. I'm rooting for you. Thank you so much, and hope everyone has a successful Match 2023.